Hi, my name's Nicole, and welcome to our podcast, Mind Over Chatter. This is my co-host, Riley.
Hi, my name's Riley.
You probably clicked this because you either are going through something mentally, know someone else who's going through something mentally, want tips for navigating your energy and your overall mental health, or you maybe were just curious as to what it was that you would see us talking about on this podcast. Either way, we want you to know that we thank and appreciate you for joining us. And if you get a few minutes in and realize that this is not for you, we understand. But give us a chance to talk about these things that many people can relate to. And we're hoping that you can find some type of comfort in relating to the things that Riley and I are about to talk about. So first off, the topic of today is what we wish we could tell our younger selves. So Riley, is there anything that you wish you had known when you were younger about mental health overall?
When I was younger, I grew up with a dad who didn't really believe in therapy too much, so it's I didn't really think mental health was a real thing. So it's just a weird situation to talk about in general. So it's everything I went through, I kind of just kept to myself usually.
So did you grow up in a family that made you feel like you couldn't really talk about such things?
Not really. It's we could talk about stuff with each other. It's just mental health in general. My dad's just a firm believer. It's just therapy's just a way for people to get money, kind of. He didn't really think therapy was a real thing. Medications, he's they're just turning people into zombies so they can get paid, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he thought it was
because he's just
real
very old fashioned. So it's it wasn't really that big of a thing for me.
I feel a lot of people who were born in the 60s and stuff have that same type of view, but as the years have gone on, a lot of them have become against therapy because of the newer generations realizing how important it is. One thing I wish I had known when I was younger was that sometimes the worst people you know are secretly just battling their own minds, and something that used to bother me a lot when I was younger was people's attitudes towards me. You know what I mean?
I was really bothered by people's attitudes too much because, once again, I was just if they don't like me, I don't really care kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just the attitude I always had growing up.
Yeah. I wish I had been like that, but that had definitely shaped into who I am today, in this day and age, because I definitely used to care so much and give all of who I was to other people and try to, fit in with them because I didn't exactly know who I was in, 7th and 8th grade. And the best example I could give is me and my one friend had fallen out my freshman year of high school, who I had became close with my freshman year of high school. I can't really name names for the sake of privacy, but me and her were best friends from about freshman and sophomore year. And one day she just started being kind of aggressive and rude and distant and stuff, and eventually cut me off after all those years of us being close, and I let it get to me more than I should have. I'd cry myself to sleep over it and stuff. I'd say I was a little dramatic, but I found out a year later that she had tried killing herself around that time, and that's one thing that made me realize that people who are really rude and stuff are often going through their own mental battles.
Yeah, because usually when I was a kid, when I would go through something, I would just try to make other people feel the way that I felt. Yeah. So it's just I wasn't doing it on purpose. I didn't realize that I was doing it until later on in life. But if I had a bad day, I would just make everybody. I wouldn't make them miserable. I would just give them an attitude. I would just take how I felt out on everybody else instead of dealing with it my own way.
What, it would make you feel less alone and stuff?
Not really. It was just I was mad, so I didn't know how to deal with anger the same way that I do now. So I would just I would just give my other people an attitude, people in my family, people I went to school with and all.
Yeah, because it's hard to be nice to people when you're in a bad mood or going through something. But I was saying, that's one of many examples I have of situations like that. I could go on for years about that type of stuff, but the listeners and you would probably eventually get bored. But another thing I would tell my younger self about navigating mental health is that the weird feeling in your chest is anxiety, and it's not a personality trait. I definitely used to think it wasn't that big of a deal, and it was just because my parents were kind of similar as well. They would tell me no therapy and stuff, that's for drug addicts and like losers and stuff. So eventually I began to believe it, because when you're younger and like you have adults telling you something, you are going to believe it too, because your brain is like so underdeveloped and will listen to anything that like other people say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So another one I have is, you don't have to be productive to be worthy, and it's 100% okay to take breaks. And because I used to kind of treat myself like a robot, like I wouldn't let myself rest. And something that I would definitely tell my younger self is that you do not earn rest by suffering first, and you do not earn breaks by crying and hyperventilating. You could take a nap just because. Don't overwork yourself. Don't beat yourself up over taking breaks. Like, I definitely used to think that if I stopped doing my homework in the middle of it, then I was like a failure, and that I didn't deserve to take breaks and nap and stuff.
Like, yeah, I was kind of the same way. I would like, as a kid, I would like do like all my work and stuff. I would like procrastinate a lot, but like I would be like stressed. Like, I don't know why I would do it to myself. I would wait until like the very last minute, like possible minute to do everything, and then I'd cram all my work in, and like I'd be so overstressed. It was like actually ridiculous.
That's how I felt. Like, when I was younger, I thought that if I wasn't stressed, I was doing something wrong. And that part of like becoming successful is being stressed and overworking yourself, and feeling like I had to do it in a certain period of time or I failed. If I had free time, my brain was like, this feels illegal and no one would be proud of this, and like, you're a failure, you're never gonna get anywhere, like stuff like that.
Yeah, the only time I was ever really like happy during like is like when school, like summer and all, because like I feel like school always brings like such a stress into my life. It's not even like the work in general, it's just like the people, the community. Like, I don't really like, I had friends and all. It was just like the whole like idea of school in general is just like always a stressful topic and like situation, I feel.
Yeah, and being there for 8 hours a day at such a young age, like Monday through Friday, definitely is a lot for a kid. Even though it's probably not going to change anytime in the next few years, I feel like it definitely should.
Yeah, it was definitely like a full like 360, I would say, like when I came here, because like I was like so used to like the full 8 hour day every single day, but now it's just like I have like a class or two every day, and it's just like kind of there now, like not really.
So like during the summer, I used to feel like this. Like when I would like be out with my friends, I feel like I wasn't being productive because I was so used to like doing work at all times. I would feel like I should be doing something when I was like laying down in my bed or something during summer, because it almost felt like I was doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of felt like that. I don't really know, but.
And another thing I would tell my younger self is, feelings aren't facts, and just because your brain says everyone hates you doesn't make it true. And it more than likely just means that you're hungry or you need a nap. You're most likely tired. Like, I used to have low self-esteem issues in 7th and 8th grade, and I realized like years later, after learning ways to navigate my mental health, that I thought everyone hated me because I kind of hated myself. I was kind of hating on myself, and like the things that I thought about myself, I would just assume other people thought as well, because I was very self-conscious, like insecure. And as the years grew older and I started to realize that like I am me and that's all I'll ever be, I started to accept myself more. Like, you shouldn't really change who you are for other people.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way growing up. Like, I never really understood that like sometimes people just like won't like you. Mm-hmm. So I always was like, oh, like I did something wrong, like I have to prove them wrong, like I have to make them like me. Like I wasn't like really a people pleaser, I would say. I was just like, oh, like I did something wrong, like maybe if I change this about myself, it's like I would start like changing stuff about myself to like try to think like, oh, maybe if I do this different, they'll like me. If I do this different, they'll like me. Like, it was just like always a situation, you know.
One thing that I learned is that the body and the brain are just like messy roommates who have trouble communicating. And another thing I have that I would tell my younger self is that you can ask for help without it being dramatic. Like, I would feel like it was such a big deal if I would like tell my mom I'm upset or I'm depressed or something, because of the way that I grew up and the way that my family didn't really talk about stuff like that. And I can't really blame them for it, because their parents probably taught them the same thing. I believe that asking for help was a sign of weakness or need, and when in actuality it meant that you are intelligent enough to share your suffering and not allow your suffering to overtake your well-being. Like, we're humans, it's okay to feel a certain way.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I wouldn't really like ask for help with anything because I just thought it made me feel like I wasn't like embarrassed to ask for help. I just like always thought it made me feel like less than like somebody else. So I was like, oh, I don't want them to think I'm stupid. Like, I never really like felt weird. It was just like, I don't want people to think I'm stupid. So like, I have to try to figure out a way to do it myself, kind of thing. Like, I would literally like fail classes and stuff, and like instead of like asking like for a tutor or like asking people for help with homework or like not tests, but like homework or whatever, I would literally say I'd like fail and not say anything. Like, I wouldn't like tell anybody. I'd just be like, oh no, dude, I'd lie about it and be like, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. The test was just hard. Like, I would just like always like lie to try to like make myself feel better and make it feel like I like just didn't need help. I could just do it on my own.
Especially with like gender differences as well. Did you notice that guys wouldn't really ever seem like sad or like stressed or anything? Because that was definitely another thing that would make me feel bad about myself, when in reality I feel like they just don't talk about it as much. So I would feel like weak when it came to like being stressed, because I'd see like the opposite gender not really caring and stuff, you know? Like, they'd be like failing and I'd be like, oh my god, like I get so stressed if I fail, but like these people don't seem like they are.
Yeah, usually I never really like noticed, I'm not gonna lie, because like usually when I would fail stuff, like I'm not saying I don't care if I like fail a test, but I'm always like, I try to stay like somewhat optimistic. If I fail a test, I'm like, oh well, maybe better luck next time, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe it's just like that mindset for them, but
Yeah, there were definitely times when I was younger that I believed that I had to wait until I was about to like pass out before accepting that I needed help. I would spend hours crying by myself and thought that if I asked for help, I would like annoy the person, look weak. They would say, Nicole, stop talking. Like, you do not need to ignore your mental health. Ask for help now, not when you're already crying in the shower to Lord or Taylor Swift or anything. Like, it's okay to ask for help before it gets too bad.
yeah, I agree with that. I feel like me personally, I always like, I don't know why, like usually if I'm like asking people for like advice on something or like help with something, I still like even to this day wait until like the last minute, because I'm like, well, I don't want to look like, because like what if they like don't understand, kind of thing, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know how to describe it, I'm not gonna lie.
And another thing is therapy. Without a doubt, it will definitely change your life. When I was 12, I believed that therapy was only for like crazy people and drug users, because of the stuff that like my dad would say. Like, he did not believe in it. He would make it political and stuff. Like, no, it's literally just like a mental spa day, and it's definitely something that is okay to do and to go to without feeling ashamed. You should never feel ashamed of needing that extra help from somebody. And another thing that I would say is, if you don't want to go to therapy for any reason, if you can't afford it, talking to a friend is also important and can definitely help.
Yeah, that's what usually I do, because like sometimes I feel like the stuff I go through isn't like bad enough to the point where I'm like, oh my god, I need therapy, like I need to go to therapy. So I always think it's like, I always try to like downplay it, and like I usually just like talk to my friends about situations, but like recently the only like situations I kind of have is just like boy problems. Like, I feel like that's not really something I should need to go to like therapy over, kind of thing.
I get that, but also something that might be so big to you might be small to someone else, or something that might be small to someone else might be big to you. So you really can go for like anything, even if it might seem small to other people. Another thing that I would tell myself was that you are not alone. And the thing that you thought was weird or too much, or that thing you judged yourself for or were afraid to be judged for, is not too much. So many other people feel it too. Not everyone admits it. And if we all admitted to needing help, no one will be embarrassed or find it corny. And one thing I don't like is when everyone is pretending to have things all together, as if they have never had a bad day in their life. Like, I've met people like that before, and like, I'm not really judging them either for like pretending they have it all together, but at the same time, like, don't judge other people for going through something. Like, I don't like when people are like, oh well, I've never had a bad day in my life, because at that point I just think that you are miserable and you're just hiding it. Like, it's okay to admit that you have bad days. Some people won't admit it at all.
Yeah, you're better than me. I hate people like that. I'm not even gonna lie. They really like annoy me because it's just like, just because you don't talk about it doesn't mean you have to like sit here and like lie and be like, oh yeah, no, nothing's ever gone wrong in my life, because like I don't think I've ever met one person who can like confidently say they've never had like one thing go wrong in their entire life. Like even their childhood, like their teenage years or adulthood, like there's not one person on this like planet who can feel, oh yeah, I've never, not one thing has ever gone wrong for me ever.
Yeah, I had a friend before actually, like one of my ex-best friends. We were friends for like 14 years, but towards the end of our friendship, I was like kind of going through something mentally where I was like depressed every day. And every time I would try to talk to her about it, she'd be like, yeah, I get stressed over school too, but that's about it. Like, I'm a pretty happy person. And I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not a happy person. Like, happy people can be depressed people can be happy at times. Like, either way, you don't like downplay someone else's struggles.
Yeah, I hate people, like usually like for some of my friends, like that's why I usually like pick and choose who I like tell stuff to, because usually like if I try to like, I hate when people like try to compare my situation to their like what they're going through in their life. Like I'm just trying to like, I'm not saying rant, but like I would try to like tell my friends about like situations that I'm going through, and they're like, oh well, they try to like make mine seem like smaller or like less important than their, like I hate when they try to make my situation seem like it's like less important as it, like what they're going through. Like you know, like I'm just like looking for advice, and they're like, oh well, I like they always like, I'm not saying they just want to talk about themselves, but I'm like, it's like they just try to make their situation like, oh well, at least it's not this bad, at least it's not this bad, and I'm just like genuinely asking for advice.
Yeah, that actually just happened to me the other day. Not me personally, but I heard a story about it. So my one friend has a boyfriend who moved to college 3 hours away, and her friend's boyfriend was just caught with a vape and isn't allowed out for 2 weeks. And my friend was like, yeah, like she has no room to like be upset about that because my boyfriend lives 3 hours away. All hers is just isn't allowed out for 2 weeks and stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna say her name, but I was like, girl, like just because you're going through something doesn't mean she can't be upset about something too. Like hers isn't allowed out for a few weeks, and she used to see him like every day of her life, and I think that's upsetting too. So I actually did feel bad for the other girl whose emotions she was like downplaying and stuff, because you can't really compare what each other is going through. Because one, like I said earlier, something that might seem so small to you can be so big to someone else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just find it like weird when people do that. I can't like, it's just like such like a weird, like I'm trying to like tell you about something that like I'm going through, and you're just like trying to downplay it as if it's like not a big deal. Like just because it's like not a big deal in your life doesn't mean that it's like not a big deal in my life.
Exactly. So younger me and younger Riley, you guys are doing your best, and you do not have to have it all figured out. And if you're listening to this right now and you're younger, even though you're thinking more like 18 up, but anyone really can listen to this, just know that you are doing your best, and we hear you and we see you, and you are not crazy, and you're just figuring life out just like the rest of us. The adults in your life who seem like they have it all together are going through struggles as well, but don't tell them we told you. Don't think everyone besides you is perfect. Don't forget to drink water and take care of yourself mentally and physically as best as you can. And take a break from homework. You've been fake staring and zoning out for 3 hours. It's okay, you're allowed to nap. And that's it for today. Hit us up on Instagram if you want to tell us what you wish you knew back then, and we will talk about it together in the DMs and everything. And we'll catch you next week for some more spiraling, more laughing, and more of accidentally unpacking childhood trauma. We will be posting every single Wednesday at 6 o'clock if you would like to join in. We will be discussing many different things that have to do with mental health, childhood trauma, men, boys, like stuff
Especially
like that. You know what I
men.
mean? Yes, we like to talk about men here as well, because, you know, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, you have relationship issues, relationship problems.
And one thing about me is I got all of them.
Oh, she got all of them, yeah.
I have the terrible taste in men, guys.
She will be sharing all of it with you guys. I'll be sharing everything with you guys. Not everything, because there's some things that people might not want to talk about. Like, there's definitely some things that I do not want to share on the internet, which is fine. So yeah, that's another thing. There's some things you might not want to share with anyone ever, which is 100% okay, you know? So, Riley, do you have any last thoughts?
Honestly, not really. We can save it for the next episode.
Okay, that's true. So I hope you all have an amazing night. A tip I have for tonight is to go to bed early, because I know a lot of people, not even any specific age group, like a lot of people tend to doom scroll. There's something called procrastination sleeping, where it's like you are out all day, so you want to like not go to bed at a good time because you want to be able to have all the freedom at night and stuff. And you can go to bed, like there's always tomorrow to do whatever you wanted to do at 5 a.m. today, you know, like just go to bed and have a great night. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.